Well, in that case, let me fix my tie.
Okay, now that Joe's started the recording, let's go ahead and just take a brief glimpse here at the agenda. We just finished our networking portion, and we're going to quickly go through the announcements here, and then we will review the highlights with the ops board. We will then do the financial review, and then Ramya, our new chapter president, will go over 2024 strategy and vision, and then we will wrap things up around 6:50, 7 o'clock. So, Joe, if you want to move to the next slide. Okay, folks, we as we're moving through, if you have questions or during the process, if you want to please just put them in the chat. We've got people who will be monitoring the chat during the conversation, and we will go ahead and ask questions or let people know that there's questions, and we will kind of proceed that way. There we go. The other thing we needed to talk about then is if we all want to take a moment here and log into Menti. We use Menti to do some interactive questionnaires and things throughout the presentation. I forgot to log in myself, so I'm doing that as I speak here. So I'll leave that up for another moment. And I just logged in, and it already has a question up for you on PMI has tools and strategy on artificial intelligence. So we'll give people another moment here to get logged in. Okay, Joe. And there is the first question that is already, if you've logged into Menti, it's already there. We'll give people a moment here. Joe, was this one going to provide feedback, or was this going to occur after the fact? You're muted, Joe.
I have to toggle between the two windows. So let everyone vote, and then I'll show the results.
Okay. Well, that's a pretty even split, isn't it? So pretty much either you want to know or you already know, and there's a few of us who weren't aware of it. So that's interesting feedback. Okay. Okay, folks, what we're showing here is basically the PMINEO structure. We've got the governance board, and then from there, you'll be hearing from all of these, the bolded groups in blue, if you will. But we've got the governance board. We then also have the operations board and operations, which is led by Benjamin Todd. We've got the operations board outreach, which Dominic mentioned earlier. And then Joe is leading the member services side of the operations board. At the top, then we have the governance board, which Ramya is our new president. Steve Peterson, Laura Hoffman, Baruz Sadik is new. I'll address that in a moment. And then myself, I am also new to the governance board. So underneath those areas, then you can see a basic breakdown underneath the operations boards of the different sections, different areas that they're focusing on for running the chapter. Before I move on, are there any questions about the structure or anything? Otherwise, we will move on to the next section. The one person I haven't mentioned is our most recently past president who left at the beginning of the year, Todd Jones. So, Todd, again, thank you for all your efforts. And Joe, if you want to proceed to the next slide. Okay, folks, as I had mentioned before, we've got the governance board. Ramya is our new president. Steve Peterson is the secretary. Laura Hoffman is the treasurer. Baruz Sadiq was just named. We had a couple openings for the director at large positions, and Baruz has taken over the director at large #1. And then myself, Andy Macy, I have taken over the director at large position #2. Those are all elected positions. We had some people step down in the director at large positions, and that resulted in the board needing to appoint or nominate Baruz and myself to fill the open seats, which has occurred. Moving over then to the right-hand column, we have the operations board. Joe Anastasi is leading the member services efforts. Benjamin Todd is leading operations, and then Dominic is leading the outreach. We then have a number of VPs and director positions, which are also part of leadership and volunteers within the organization, and then numerous volunteers in all of those areas we had shown on the previous slide. So, as we had mentioned before, please feel free to reach out to any of us and reach out if you have any desires to be a volunteer in any of the different areas of the chapter. There's plenty of different areas besides programs and outreach and some of the others. So unless there's questions, let's move on to the next slide, which is our next Mentimeter question.
It would be nice if these names arranged based on the city names, like where the city is, geographically speaking.
Well, it's working as a word cloud so that the words with the most entries kind of become a little larger. So it looks like Cleveland and Greene and Brunswick are leading the list there so far. But
how does the laughing crying? Where's that?
That was me.
Yeah.
I put Phoenix LOL because I'm actually traveling this week.
Oh.
I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. So that's where that came from. Sorry, Joe, I messed up your data.
Are you claiming executive privilege on that?
Sure. Pleading the fifth.
Fair enough. So looks like we've had 30 responses. So let's move on to the next slide. And we will go ahead and start off with the 2023 recap. And then we've, Joe, if you want to move to the next slide after that, we had already made the announcements of who the upcoming speakers are going to be, but there's their name and their pictures. And with that, I am going to turn things over, I believe, to Mr. Todd to discuss operations.
Hey, so good evening, everyone. I'm Benjamin Todd. I'm the program manager of operations. I guess the first thing I want to do is just see if anyone on the operations team is available. If they are, if they would turn on their camera or at least send a hello to everyone in the chat, kind of identify yourselves. That gives me an opportunity just to say thank you for all the hard work that you guys have done over the last year. I appreciate everything that you guys have done and how we keep moving the chapter forward. And then I guess second, I want to thank all of the people that the other program managers, Gov Board, and then those others on the other teams, that VPs that have assisted us with helping us to reach our objectives. So I'm not going to go over the 2023 highlights verbatim since they're actually on the screen. But just highlight a couple of things that occurred that I think was special for 2023. Our admin team, I want to thank them for working to manage a very, very successful election. This is the first time in a few years that we've had more people run for the election than we had seats. So excellent job to them. The volunteer team for a couple of great events. We had one at Cooper's Hawk celebrating the volunteers that work with us over the year 2022. And then we had one just the other day to celebrate those that worked with us in 2023. And that one was at Topgolf. And if you decide to join us next year, we'll have another very exciting event for you guys to join and participate in. And then, of course, the finance team for just completing the budget on time and just helping us to manage things in 2023. So that's just wanted to say thank you to everyone for all of their efforts and just some of the new efforts that we're going to do in 2024. We're going to try to add a person to our team as an admin coordinator, and they're going to help to assist with some of the election criteria next year. We're going to increase training and enhance reporting in the finance area. And then our volunteering area is going to work to reconcile volunteer data for matching PMI global data. And then we're also going to work to mine a little bit more data to make sure that they align with, to help us move forward our strategies for 2024. So thanks everyone for all you did. And I guess I'll turn it over to our next speaker, who is Member Services.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joe Anastasi, Program Manager for Member Services. I also want to thank my marketing and programs teams for all they've done so far. We had a really good year last year and hope to continue that with more good stuff this year. From a professional development side, we've fortified our relationship with Baldwin Wallace as a professional development partner. We also are continuing our relationship with Peak Business and with Velociteach to offer certification prep and training at a discount for chapter members. So please take advantage of those offerings. We just updated the Baldwin Wallace list a couple days ago. So there's a lot of great professional development things that are available there as well. From a marketing team, our marketing team owns communication, social media, the website, newsletter. We've evolved the newsletter, we've simplified it. Now we're just getting one a week, usually on Mondays. We got stronger social media. We just added Threads as one of our platforms, but we're also evaluating. We're on 6 different platforms. We want to make sure that what we're doing is effective. I believe our more popular ones is LinkedIn and Facebook, but we also want to be where people are. We've created and reviewed web and social media analytics. So we actually are paying attention to where people are posting or reading and what web pages being hit. And we are going to have an effort this year to do some, I'll call housekeeping cleanup updates to our chapter website to kind of just make sure the content out there is fresh, current, and just enough. So marketing team does a great job. Programs team, excellent job last year. You know, we emerged out of the pandemic and we did a lot of webinars 2-3 years ago. Last year, we started offering in-person and online and for hybrid events. What we mean by hybrid is our professional development day and their IPM day and 2 other programs. You can join us via Zoom or you could join us in person. This year, we're not going to do that combined. We're going to either do in person or online, but we're going to have more events this year. So anybody that is challenged with getting to a location but still want to get their PDUs and join us, we're going to have plenty of webinars too, and vice versa. People prefer the in-person format. We're going to try to have meetings all across town. So we're going to keep doing that. A lot of good stuff on the horizon here. So really excited about that. So great job, team. All right, I'll turn it over to Dominic.
Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Hi, Dominic Bonacci, outreach. And obviously, stuff happens probably more despite me than because of me. There's some great people involved. And I know Jags is on the call, and membership is a big lift and a big part of outreach. And he mentioned they're always looking for good volunteers. And when I go through kind of the things we did in 2023, you'll see why that's an important group, and always looking for some quality folks to lend a hand. One of the biggest things, and we have lots of members here tonight that have benefited from the get to know the chapter events. It seems like we've been doing these forever, but we haven't. It's fairly new, probably the second year that we've been doing it on a pretty much a monthly basis. And I don't know why we haven't been doing it for 100 years already, but it's very successful. And that came from an idea from one of our previous board members to start that. It's been very successful for us. The social events. We had the social event, which Karen Burke had helped us with. The programs team also lent a hand when it came to social events with the Guardians game, and I know they have something in mind, baseball related, coming up. And then our non-golf outing in September. And social events are just that. They're social events. They're networking. There's no PDUs. It's just an opportunity to meet in person other people in the chapter. And other things in membership that we're going to work on is actually touch points, and this is where Jags and his team are going to get to work in the next year, where we take advantage of some automated processes and do some old-fashioned human contact with new members, and touching them, each member annually in some way, and certainly before they renew, and to have them think about the chapter. Academic outreach has been very successful, and they are a good solid group that keeps chugging along. They did a presentation at Kent State last October with about 20 students. So Arun and his team do a great job. They reach out to Kent, to BW. Joe, he did not mention, is very involved at CSU. He teaches classes at CSU and Tri-C. So he is a one-man outreach program there. We are looking to re-engage CASE, and if there's other schools nearby, these are actually going in and making presentations to students about careers in project management. On the community outreach side, we have an initiative, but looking for the right person to make that a reality with our social good initiative. Is there something we as a group or a group of volunteers with PMI can do out in the world that we can lend a hand to on a short-term commitment that we can help organize or project manage something for the good of the world around us, that it's more than just that we can give something back. So give that some thought, and if there's some interest there. Moving on, annually, our Kersner Awards, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but there's a team that handles these awards, and I'll tell you more about that in an upcoming slide. And something new, and that's what the picture is, our PMINEO meetups, where we try to be where people are. So it's a real quick opportunity. It's sort of a micro networking event where if you're attending a big event, we say, hey, all the project managers that are at this event meet at this spot at this time. We'll see, oh, all these PMI members, chapter members that are here at this event, take a quick picture and then get on with the event. So we did one briefly at the Turkey Trot, and we did one downtown at Public Square to look at the tree lighting, just a real quick gather. So if there's some events that you participate in that you think are some other PMI members are there and you want to organize a meetup, give us a holler and we can help you put that together. It's very simple, very easy. And then our executive outreach program has been really well received this year, where we're dealing with maintaining an arm's length relationship with PMOs and executives that hire and supervise project managers. So these are not necessarily people that are in our chapter, but people that supervise or hire people that are members of our chapter. And what we get from that is we promote the awareness of the chapter and PMI overall, and add value to your chapter membership. And we get insight on what those people are looking for when they go to hire and they manage project managers, and we turn that into programming that we then offer our members. So it makes them competitive in the job market. On the sponsorship side, that's a group that we're getting some help with, and maintaining ongoing relationship with our sponsors. And we have different kinds of sponsors. We have the traditional sponsors that want to be associated with the chapter and promote themselves. We also have opportunities if you have a company that can host us. If you have some meeting space, as Joe mentioned, we try to be some geographic diversity. So if you have some meeting space on the east side or the far west side or south or downtown, and you can host us, 30 to 75 people, depending on the thing, please raise your hand. It's not committing you necessarily to hosting maybe cheese and crackers ahead of time, but if you're able to do that, that's another level of sponsorship. So think about that. If you have some space, we're always trying to be in different spaces and in different parts of the geographic area that we represent. Also on industry liaisons is digging into that, and working with Karen Brooks is going to help me out in developing a core of volunteers from larger employees to use their internal communications to get our message out to other PMs. I know that we might have one or two members in an organization that has dozens of project managers, and we want to try to find a way to use some internal communications to reach those people that aren't members of our chapter. And then we also have professional links. Those are organizations that we feature on our website. And we have somebody, Craig Remlinger, who helps us out and touches base with those organizations. Are they still there? Are they still active? Do they have some programming that might be of interest to our members? Do we have some programming that might be of interest to those members? And sort of keeping that alive. And so you'll see in a little bit, the branding, the community involvement, and the younger appeal, these initiatives that we've taken on, and how outreach has tried to address each and every one of those 3 initiatives. I think I went over my minutes, Joe. I'm sorry. Back to you, Andy.
Okay, with that, then we are going to shift gears and talk about financials. So I believe, Laura, the next slide will be yours.
That is correct. So thank you, everybody. I just want to let you know, this is just a snapshot of what comes in and out of the chapter. So for last year, and I don't believe this is for the full year, this might be for the 3 quarters, but so incoming, and a lot of it, most of that is income from membership. We had 38,000 outgoing expenses, and we'll kind of go into the next slide, kind of explain that better, but a good chunk of what we spend our money on, of course, is directly related to the programs that you heard Joe and Dominic and Ben talk about. And then we do have a good chunk that goes just simply to keep the lights on for the web. So we do have a web hosting fee that we need to pay to our provider. Plus, we do the only paid position in the entire chapter is we have a web support person to make sure that the lights stay on so that our website is always available and being updated as well. And then we ended up with a small surplus, which we will turn around and spend on our members. So go ahead and move on to the next slide. So upcoming for this year, this is, just the highlights of what we have planned. Professional Development Day, that is our big signature premier event. So a budget of 11,500. A good chunk of that goes to speakers, and another good chunk of that goes to the refreshments during the day. Our other signature event is International Project Management Day. We are always happy to have the partnership of Baldwin Wallace University. So we do that in partnership with them. So a good chunk of that, what you're seeing again, goes to speakers and food. Throughout the year, this is just one of many chapter meetings that we have throughout the year. So we always, sometimes we have to, if we can't find a meeting space, we might have to rent a meeting space. If the host is not going to provide food, we have to provide snacks, so that sort of thing. And then another big thing, and I know Dominic talked on this, is the social events. So we have a number of those planned throughout the year, and that's so all of these things are the things that we focus on just for for our most important thing, which is our members, of course. I know that was not as exciting as everybody else. I get to do the boring parts, but that's all I've got for numbers today for financials.
Okay, I think that brings us to another Mentimeter slide, excuse me. And we'll give Joe a moment here to present the next slide. Well, that's an interesting outcome. Very distinct, leaning towards both. Okay. And with that, then, let's come back, and we're going to transition to Ramya, our new chapter president. So, welcome.
Hey, everyone. Thanks,
Where's
Andy.
the drum roll? Andy. I was expecting a drum roll when you finished it.
She left the state, Baruz.
So very nice to meet everyone. This is Ramya Ramadurai. For those that we haven't met, I hope to meet you soon in the near future. But from the looks of this Menti survey, maybe only in hybrid events, apparently. So I've been with the chapter, a member of the chapter since 2016, even though I got my PMP in 2012. But at that time, I was in New Jersey and I wasn't part of any chapters. I joined, this is the first PMI chapter that I ever joined. So yay, Northeast Ohio. I've been volunteering since 2018. I was actually a volunteer coordinator and then the VP of volunteering until 2022, at which point Todd tricked me into coming on to the governance board. So from a work perspective, I work at Rockwell Automation. Prior to that, I was at Goodyear Tire and Rubber. And I no longer actively practice project management, although I am in solution delivery, industrial automation, production automation, and software, SDLC. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me either on LinkedIn or we can connect. I will post my email somewhere here in the chat, but looking forward to meeting everyone, getting to know everyone, and learning more about our membership, our volunteers, and the larger Northeast Ohio community. Next slide. So I tried to break up my strategy section into kind of two distinct areas. One is the larger PMI global strategy, and then how we can kind of relate that to our essentially our chapter focus and how we want to kind of serve our community, right? So from there, you know, PMI's overall new strategy has not, for 2024, has actually not been officially released. So everything that I've been able to gather is from, you know, essentially press releases that we've seen, social media postings from Pierre Leman and other senior leaders within the global PMI community. So their main focus for this year essentially is going to be kind of doubling down on project certifications, project success, and how to make a better world leveraging kind of our project management strengths and unique abilities. So if you go to the next slide, we'll see kind of how the overall strategy, or what we call culture values, right? Those have not changed. We have like the five culture values, and some of these are maybe a little bit odd, but you know, we want to talk about, you know, how as project managers we're easy to deal with. It's easy, simple communication, always, you know, having the right people involved at the right time, aiming higher. So certain behaviors associated with those, like, you know, improving the quality of project management, staying with industry trends, you know, swift action with integrity, those kinds of behaviors. Be welcoming is kind of, you know, where again speaks to integrity, making sure we're empathizing, showing care, affection, and being respectful in the workplace. Embracing curiosity, such as, you know, thinking critically, suggesting solutions, seeking better answers, learning, constant learning, and then together being those interpersonal relationships, trying to understand, supporting, and behaving with a clear framework, right? So these are kind of the culture values. I find it a little funny that we said, you know, we are easy to deal with, which, you know, maybe we don't actually need to say it, but hey, it's part of, somebody thought it's necessary to put down, so there we go. Moving on from there, how do these culture values kind of translate into the strategy? Joe, if you move to the next slide, we're talking about kind of these three, next slide, please. These kind of three distinct areas of, you know, project management as a profession, right? Like leveraging community generated knowledge So all of those behaviors that we just saw, like making it easy, empathizing, learning together, building a knowledge repository, is kind of moving us towards utilizing that repository of knowledge. And so PMI, if for those of you who have been following it, announced the creation of their whatever it's called Copilot, or like PM Infinity, which is their AI generated or it's a generative AI that helps project managers better seek and receive better answers to certain technical project management questions. And so if you haven't seen it already, it was announced across the board, and I think it's available on the PMI website. I think it's free for everyone. Don't quote me on this. We'll have to go and investigate, because I saw something about it being restricted to members only starting February 12th. But until then, it's free. But given all of you who are attending here are probably PMI members, you should be able to access PM Infinity fairly easily. So if you go to the next slide, what I did was I actually put a few little queries, and here's a little screenshot of what I got back. And I would say it's a pretty nice and knowledgeable kind of Copilot application. It scrapes data essentially from various different sources, Project PMI, projectmanagement.com, and other platforms that are available to them. And it actually gives you reasonably well-defined answers. It builds on top of previous questions. So if I ask a follow-up question from where I started, it generally does a pretty nice job of remembering what the previous answers were. So I'd suggest, everyone go out there, try it out. It's something PMI as an organization is embracing pretty openly. Next slide. I just put some more information in here. It is a generative AI, and it gives pretty much all of the functionality that it's based on ChatGPT, so it gives all of the GPT-4 functions as necessary. Next slide. The second part of the larger PMI strategy is, focusing on learning and development. So they've acquired, like focusing on the PMP certification, for example, but in addition to that, they've kind of merged or acquired this PMO Global Alliance, as well as, partnering with Project Managers Without Borders. These are PMWB, which is actually a non-profit kind of initiative where, you can offer your services as a project manager for non-profit or sustainability initiatives. It's actually pretty cool, where you can go in and, kind of create your profile, and you're available for consulting, for managing these little projects across the globe. So some pretty nice initiatives there, going into that social good and community building aspect of the larger strategy. Next. And then, of course, PMI, obviously, their core mission is to continue to maintain the highest quality of certifications. And so towards that, not only are they, creating these trusted gold standard type PMP type certifications, but they're also focusing on other expanded credentials. So if you go to the next slide, we talk about kind of micro credentials, such as, the agile professional and other associated credentials surrounding agile and organizational change management. A couple of years ago, I think PMI was heavy on the change management and change maker terminology. So there are quite a few certifications, micro credentials around the change management aspect. There's the citizen developer and agile related micro credentials as well. I am certainly not an expert on all of these certifications, but I think probably the person who would know the most about these would be Joe on our member services team. So if you have any questions, please add them to the chat and we'll try to get them answered to the best of our ability. Next slide. I think the main one, the newest one that they've introduced is the construction professional certification, which is, I think it looks a little less intensive than the traditional PMP, but certainly is much more focused on the construction aspect and building aspect of project management, which, you know, we see a lot of our members. Also, I'm sure there are a few of you who work in these domains and may find the other certification a little bit too generic and might want to have something that's a little bit more focused. I don't know if these certifications are, if there's a construction professional, I think it's been active for like 6 months now. If you'd like to learn more, I think we can certainly provide more information on what it entails and what resources are available to us.
So Ramya, if you don't mind me interrupting. So we just had on January 11th, we just had a webinar with the program manager that's heading up this construction professional certification. So if you go to our YouTube channel, and we'll have that link for you later in this presentation, you can go back and watch that 1 hour presentation on this specific certification, what it's all about. So
awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Lastly, I think from an events standpoint, PM Expo, which is a great, easy way to earn a bunch of PDUs at the same time. It's completely free, it's completely virtual, like many of us wanted. Our registrations are open, and it's like, I want to say it's like 3 hours, but gets you like 8 PDUs with a bunch of different topics. I've personally used it many times to kind of, you know, gather up a bunch of those PDUs as I'm working towards completing my cycle, PDU cycle. There you go. Included with membership, apparently. And then the largest PMI global conference, which is the summit, is in Los Angeles this year. Lots of AI focused sessions. So as we can see, PMI is really embracing the artificial intelligence kind of aspect of project management. Still remains to be seen how exactly these can be implemented. But I think the fact that, you know, PMI is evolving so quickly is a really positive sign. There's also a lot of community-focused sessions. We even did, I think maybe it was 2 years ago, we did like we did participate in a social activity. I think they do that every year as well. It's really a great, you know, 3 days of immersive learning. So those who are able to attend, it would be a really good experience to go. All right. So just to kind of recap the larger PMI strategy, it's, you know, focusing on successful project execution, creating a community of project professionals, and focusing kind of on these unique strengths to contribute positively towards a better community, creating community and creating a better world. That's kind of the key message that I've seen in everything, all of the published publications that have come out. The official PMI strategy has not actually been released for 2024. Once it comes out, I think we'll find a lot of alignment in these key messages. I think we're at the next question for our mentee, Paul.
We're so quiet, it's like we're doing math. Carry the one.
I think we can move on, and those are some really good commonalities. It sounds like networking, word of mouth, marketing, mentoring is, you guys are gonna see, that'll be really good. Volunteering, I love it. Teaching to go. So the idea of promoting project management at work, I think that's a resonating theme. Chapter membership, perfect. Attending webinars, programming, I like it. Really cool. So that brings us to kind of our section of the strategy and how we are supporting PMI. So I just wanted to quickly revisit our mission, values, and goals and objectives statements first. So next slide. So if you look at our key objectives, we have, kind of 5 or 6 key areas, which is, we want to make sure we as an organization, as a chapter, are operating effectively, functioning efficiently. And so that's why we have, our bylaws and how we govern ourselves as a chapter. We want to focus on making sure that our members are getting value, professionally developing themselves out of our programming, our events that we conduct, and all of those things that our operations and member services and outreach team just talked about, right? All of those are going towards creating value in each of these areas. So we offer networking opportunities, make sure that the PM community stays connected throughout the Northeast Ohio area, the area that we are serving. Make sure that we are engaging and doing certain, positively contributing towards social causes. So we've done some pretty awesome things in the past. Like I think we've done the food bank, we've done an event at one of the metro parks. So we want to start putting together more and more such events, proving kind of our value to the larger community. Expand our knowledge, make sure that as businesses recognize the importance of project management, they also recognize our organization as a key source, as a key resource, essentially a repository of project management knowledge and a contact point for hiring really good project managers for their businesses. And then using our outreach to kind of make sure that organizations understand the value and importance of having a PMO practice. I don't know how many of you actually work in active PMOs or are struggling with, establishing good project management practices within your businesses. And even as a, as a supporter of the project management practice within Rockwell as a company, we still struggle with, doing the right things and finding the discipline to advance ourselves from a maturity standpoint. So I'm sure that is the case for many other companies as well. And how do we kind of establish that that robustness by partnering with those businesses? So that's kind of one of our key objectives as well. Next slide. So this is what we have as our vision and mission statement on our website. A key part, I think, of our branding initiative, which we're going to talk about in a minute, is to either kind of reevaluate our vision and mission statements, make sure that they resonate with what our community is looking for and the membership that we serve. One of the things that we kind of started doing last year was to reevaluate and see is there a better mission and vision statement that more applies to us today in the post-pandemic kind of recovery world. And that would be a really cool initiative if any of you wanted to actually get involved, is how do we reinvent ourselves in the project management space in this particular geographical Northeast Ohio area. Next slide. So, the idea that we want, so you just saw, right? Like we have our mission, vision, our goals and objectives. How do we take that to, expand our reach, make sure that there is, intellectual depth in the kind of content that we provide, the kind of knowledge that we impart to our membership so that they get actual value out of it. And then how do we make sure that people keep coming back to us over and over again? How do we extend the length of this membership while encouraging, early career people to start thinking about project management as a career option, so that we are able to target the larger part of their career? So if we think about, the timeline map of someone's actual career, how do we get them to join us in their, fourth or fifth year of their career, lasting all the way up to the time that, that they've become a senior leader, or they've decided to continue practicing as a project manager, or even use the discipline of project management in their kind of day-to-day everyday lives. So taking all of that and combining it, we move to the next slide, our overall 3 focus areas, and I see some comments were coming there, right? So our 3 focus areas is, for this year at least, we're going to try and reestablish the PMI Northeast Ohio brand, which, comes from that, what we just saw, the breadth, depth, and length of time, right? Like those 3 dimensions, if we can try and touch all of them and redefine ourselves in this world where people are still looking for more online or more hybrid kind of programs, how do we make us the reason that people want to come back and start meeting in person, or maybe not, right? Like how do we redefine our programming so that it appeals to all of our demographics and all of our people, all of our members who are looking for these unique experiences. The second area that we want to focus on is, how do we make sure that our community is engaged? How do we make sure that we create those events and programs and activities where we not only come together as a community, but are also using our community to serve the larger community. And we have seen time and time again from data and surveys that people are most engaged when they feel a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose, and that's what we want to try and recreate with our membership and with the people that we serve. And then lastly, engaging young professionals. So somebody suggested creating a mentoring program, which is something that we've been, we've talked about quite a bit, and are making an actual concerted focus this year. We want to make sure that our young professionals are coming to us, like I said, in the early part of their career, and making long-lasting relationships with us. We want that energy, and we want that, make sure that they understand that you don't have to have a PM title, for example, to adopt the practices of project management, to adopt the philosophies. Like you can still keep doing project management as part of your any other alternative career path. Or if you choose, you can enter the project management field early enough that you extend your expertise. So I don't know if there are any comments. I've not been checking the chats. Andy or Joe, are there any questions at this time?
You already hit upon the one question that we had, which was about offering a mentorship program.
Awesome. Moving on, I think we have a couple more questions and then a few announcements. I do want to be mindful of everyone's time, so. I'm waiting for us to hit that 30 mark. Maybe not. All right, we can move on. I think we have one more question. What can PMI Northeast Ohio do to help your employer recognize the value of being a chapter member? Oh, it's a challenging one.
Funding.
Training is a good one. Awareness. Yeah, training and awareness. Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. I think we have a couple of announcements. Dominic, would you be able to do this?
Yeah. All right, so I mentioned I was talking more about the awards, and we do have 3 awards that we do annually, and they're really easy to think of if you get in the holiday spirit. So I think of them in terms of the Ghost of Christmas Past, the Ghost of Christmas Present, and the Ghost of Christmas Future. When it comes to the Kersner Award for Project Excellence is somebody who has been around for a long time. That's the Ghost of Christmas Past, the PM of Christmas Past, who has made you a better project manager, either because they worked with you, mentored you, or just by example, or even reputation. So that, and these are really easy nominations. You go to the website and you fill out a form and they're nominated. So the Ghost of Christmas Present is a project that occurred this year. Well, this year being 2023, of course. So that's, did we have a project? It doesn't have to be a massive project. It just had to be done well using project management methodology. That doesn't mean it didn't have problems. It just means that you were successful in applying project management methodology. So that's the Ghost of Christmas Present. And then the Ghost of Christmas Future is that up and coming project manager, that young professional that is showing some inclination of being headed towards a great career in project management. This is somebody that's got an early start, is already showing signs that they have what it takes and the kind of attitude, talent, and love of project management to really add to the profession. All 3 can be are easily nominated by going to the website. You can self-nominate. You are encouraged to self-nominate. So if you did a project, or you're a young professional, but if you know a young professional for sure, please go ahead and fill that out. Any question? I think there's an age. They're born before a certain date, and please don't ask me what it is because it sickens me as to what young is anymore. Back to you, Ramya or Andy or anybody.
There was one more slide there, Dominic. Did
Oh,
you
I just
say
talked right
anything
through
about
it.
this, or
No, I think I covered
most of it?
everything. Yes, the ghost of the PMs of present, and the Kersners, the PMs of the past, and of course PMs of the future. Oh, thank you for including this. Yes, our chapter sponsors. Couldn't do it without them, right? And so the Apex is a chapter sponsor. They have a year-round sponsorship with us that just supports us. And in exchange for that, they get to know our chapter members, and our chapter members get to know about Apex, a wonderful company that helps place project managers and works with lots of technology companies and getting project managers placed in those roles filled. And then I mentioned we had other levels of sponsorship. We have event sponsors that you'll see that these are specific events that these companies and organizations sponsored, from a chapter meeting that Strategic Systems did for us. They also did a golf outing for us a couple years ago. BW has sponsored a couple of our meetings and stuff. Acodis Modus, they have sponsored and hosted our advisory committee team. And then just as a host, my own firm, Coffee, Halter and Griswold, they just provided space for our annual meeting in October. And so those are just ways, like I said, if you have access to, if your company has space and can sponsor a meeting or even host a meeting, please reach out to outreach@PMINEO.org and we can make that happen. Thanks, Andy.
Okay.
And last but not least, these are preferred partners that we have a relationship with. They're all good partners, but you get a discount and the chapter benefits when one of our members participates in one of these programs. As a featured provider, those are some discounts. So there's programming at BW, Project Bites, and then project management is also, it's included as part of your membership, right? You've already, just by being a member, you're entitled to some discounts and access to projectmanagement.com.
Okay, moving on to the next slides. We've got some more Mentimeter questions. So
Not even a single yes.
Yeah. I want to talk to someone who says yes. This be a short
I don't know
conversation.
if they're already a bot, isn't that kind of a default yes?
So has anyone used the Zoom AI assistant for taking meeting notes? And if you haven't and you have a chance to check it out, you should, because it does a phenomenal job of capturing meeting minutes, assigning action items. So who knows?
Rami, I've used the Microsoft Teams version, and it does a good job too.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Translate?
No.
Record and Translate?
No, it's an AI, like a virtual assistant that actually definitely transcribes what you're speaking, but it captures who said what and at what time. During the meeting, people will say, okay, I'll take care of that. And it translates that into action items.
Wow.
It does a phenomenal job.
Peruse, I've also been using the Teams version. The one hiccup I've noticed with that is I have a number of meetings where they're international, and I'll have people out of on a meeting from Ireland or India, and it struggles with some of the accents quite frequently.
Sure, yeah.
But overall, it's
Very
about
good.
80% accurate, but you've got to take it with a grain of salt.
It's good.
And what is the Teams product called?
It's called Copilot.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's pretty nifty tool. Definitely cuts on, you can focus more on the meeting versus focusing on taking notes. It takes it for you and then creates, like she said, Ramaya, that action items. But also, it can also, you can tell it to prepare a summary of the meeting. So it'll prepare and send a summary to you.
But honestly, all of these things are just mundane items that are off the plate of a project manager. Now they can focus on more important things,
Value add, yes.
right? I have to take notes in a meeting and send action items to folks. A tool will do that for me. Now I can focus on chasing deliverables and, focusing on the quality of the output.
Yes.
Mike, is that going to be your
Absolutely.
next install? Sorry. Mike, is that going to be your next install? I'm waiting for it to happen here. He probably muted.
All right. Looking at the time, I think we have some final questions and wrap up. So please, I appreciate everyone staying on. If you can stay on for a couple more minutes, that would be awesome. Nice.
Yep.
All right. Project ownership. I think maybe the question should have been accountability and everything else. I like that last one.
What my boss assumes. That's pretty good. Okay, folks. Keeping time in mind here and that we're running long, let's maybe move to the next slide. And I'm going to be kind of brief with a few of these next slides, but this slide is about the event calendar. If you want to go ahead and sign into our website and take a look at the event calendar, all of this will be there, but we do have a number of upcoming meetings and activities planned here throughout the next several months. And then we also have some ideas going for other programs. And we will take the feedback that we received today about a combination of in-person and virtual and or hybrid events. So we will take all of that into consideration. Joe?
Andy, that question was intended to say, I want the option to go to either one, not a combo. So
Okay.
if people were voting for hybrid, that was not the intention of that question. It was, I want to go in person. I'm going to go virtually, or I want the option of doing either, depending on, so could have been better worded.
Yeah.
Don't let Dominic talk you into that.
Well, I'm talking myself into it. It's a lot of work to put those on for,
Yeah. I assumed it meant, and I don't know if others did, I assumed it meant like a mix of hybrid, like a mix of online and in-person events.
yeah,
Not
that's
just
the
the
intention.
same event being both.
Right.
And I stand corrected. I'm the one who inserted hybrid in that. So apologies for the confusion. Okay, folks.
It's okay. You can make the arrangements too.
Okay, folks, let's move on to the next slide. The next slide, I'm going to leave this up for a moment for those who want to, maybe you want to take a picture of it, or we'll be sharing the slide deck later. But these are links to our links to social media. As we had mentioned previously, we have been focusing on reevaluating and improving our social media presence. So we are on the 5 platforms listed here. So we'll give that just a moment. And then, Joe, let's move to the next slide. We have mentioned this many times throughout the evening, but here is our slide on volunteer opportunities. There's, as we've mentioned before, program meeting team members, membership team members, industry liaisons. There's a number of opportunities, everything from PDU to gaining PDUs to gaining skills and other things. What I do want to call out, though, is the link down at the bottom for volunteer.pmi.org. If you go out to the PMI website and use that, you can sign up for to become a volunteer. And Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. I know that comes back to the chapter in some manner. I'm not fully versed in how that is processed.
Yes, I mean, there's basically it's job postings, volunteer job postings are on that site, and then our volunteer committee gets those, and then they contact the volunteer and connect them to the chapter leader that can give them the work.
Okay. So with that being said, I think we've got our last Menti question of the day. Okay, folks, there's whatever a lot of people have been waiting for, and that is the PDU claim code. So we'll leave it here for just a moment. And you can go out and make your claim, record the code to make your claim, I should say. And with that being up, then I will go ahead and just say thanks for everybody who attended. If there are questions, I and a few others, I think, may stick around for a moment or two if people wanted to ask some questions. But other than that, the meeting is hereby, the formal portion is over unless someone would like to ask some questions or people want to chat